Right, hello there everybody, welcome to the Adam Clery football channel and Gianluigi Donnarumma. Hey, you remember him, don't you, from literally the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to any of us. Saving that Saka penalty at the death of the social distancing Euros after he'd sat and drank 18 pints in the pub you had to book to enter. Anyway, though, he's at Manchester City now, which everybody thinks is mad and makes no sense. So here's a video for you about why they're right, but also why they've done it. And just super quick before we start, this is another cool FotMob collab, which I'm genuinely really stoked about because we've got a widget that they have that we're using in this video that I've never used before and forms the core premise, or one of them, so you're gonna like it. Alright, so to start, I'm just gonna brutally paraphrase a quote from noted unique football thinker, Richard Keys, right? The first thing Pep did when he got to Man City was bin Joe Hart because he wasn't good with his feet. And everyone in Paris says the same about Donnarumma, shrug emoji. So just to recap there, man does thing in 2016, and 9 years later, man does something slightly different. I don't know about you, but I am flawed. For me being needlessly snide to one side for a second, this is undeniably the weirdest transfer of the summer because Ederson was the premier ball at his feet goalkeeper, and then they went and signed the obvious heir to that throne in James Trafford, but seemingly Pep has decided to pivot to one who just looks like a man whose shop you were specifically told not to play anywhere near on a family holiday when you were much younger.
I don't know. I think that's a bit dodgy, mate.
26, this guy. By the way, the paper rounds in Milan, you must need to be armed for. Anyway, though, despite his obvious ability, he still found himself getting turfed out of PSG this summer because, allegedly, he was looking for an insane sum of money to renew a contract that was going to end at the end of this season. Regardless, and Luis Enrique took one look at that situation and said, no, pal, you can sling your hook, but in French, obviously, or Spanish, or Italian, I don't know. But whatever, it has given us the footballing equivalent of the what the hell is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas meme. And that is because, speaking as a goalkeeper, here are my credentials. The single most important thing you can be doing at any given moment is stopping the ball going into your net. And I mean, hey, in that regard, this guy's one of the best in the world, isn't he? Like, we all watched him last season single-handedly, albeit with both hands, knock Liverpool and Aston Villa out of the Champions League. He's brilliant at that, right? And well, you sort of did, but in terms of the season as a whole, he actually didn't have a great one in terms of shot stopping. These are his FotMob numbers from the league last season compared to Ederson, and if the argument is that they're selling a feet goalkeeper in favour of a hands goalkeeper, it just isn't really, like, true at all. Like, one, Ederson's much better as a shot stopper than he's given credit for, and two, Donnarumma is not consistently the sort of brick wall he appears to be when he's on live UK telly. Like, I've actually sort of got this working theory that maybe Donnarumma is incredibly average, he just, like, hates the English. Like that night at Wembley, seeing the lads stick the flare up his arse, that was the origin story behind this, like, incredible Anglo-Italian villain arc. And he can only hit those heights of goalkeeping again if he's, like, forced to have baked beans at a hotel breakfast. Just a thought.
You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it.
Anyway, though, yes, the numbers, his save percentage compared to Ederson's is almost identical, which is interesting. And if you want to throw Trafford in there as well, his are astonishing. But obviously the caveat is his last season was in the Championship. I don't know if that makes any major difference to you. It doesn't to me, because a save is a save, but just keep it in mind. But it's the number here that's a little bit concerning. Like, if you are asked about XG, then the quality of shots he's letting in is consistently, I don't know how to do this in English. Like, it's consistently not as good as the goals he's letting in. Like, over a whole season, the value of the shots he's faced was nearly 4 goals less than than the amount of goals he actually conceded. And again, like totally up to you whether you're asked about something like XG, but the clubs normally are, and more importantly, the goalkeepers we all regard as excellent shot stoppers, like your David Raya's, your Jordan Pickfords, forgive me, I genuinely believe that, they all tend to have a positive number in this category. They're saving more than the numbers say they should, whereas Donnarumma here is saving less than the numbers say he should, which is obviously bad. And again, you look at Ederson's number and Trafford's number, and they have statistically had much better seasons purely in regards of shot stopping. So saying we're bringing him in for the shot stopping doesn't quite track. And yeah, since there's like hardly any football on this week and the transfer window is finished, I sat down and I watched every single goal he's conceded this season, and I've noticed two quite glaring weaknesses, in my opinion. So first off, he struggles to quickly react to things that are down on his left-hand side, but also he struggles to get a good leap across off his weaker foot. And you can actually, if you use the nifty little FotMob goals widget that they've got, which I just found and I think is really good, you can see this. These are all the shots he faced in the league. The balls are obviously the goals, right? The blue ones are just the ones that didn't go in. If you flip that to the other view, you see a massive overweighting to his left-hand side. And that is, of course, not to say he can't save things down that side. He makes some wonderful saves with his left hand and going that way, merely that if you can manage to get your shots off into that area, you clearly have a higher chance of scoring. Like this goal from the Nice game is not Nice at all, it's awful. He just sort of lets it roll under his body because he is, I think, expecting it to be more in the corner. Like if you freeze frame it, he does the really bad thing that I often do, and he goes too early. Like there's about 7 or 8 yards there. You should wait. You should make them put it past you, but he's already committed to that side, clearly trying to get to the corner before it leaves his foot. So he just dives over the top. But if we then go back to this graph and filter it by just the stuff that comes from outside the box, you can see that weakness completely disappears. And that tells you straight away it's purely a reactions thing. If the ball is in flight for a little bit longer, he gets a longer view at it, he can make an excellent save on that side. Think about the Martin Ødegaard chance against Arsenal. That looked amazing, and it was low down into that area he's weak, but it comes from just outside the box. It had enough reaction time to make what was a brilliant save. But yeah, if we look at everything from this sort of distance, it's now all concentrated in this bottom right corner, and that is actually quite a common problem for a lot of goalkeepers. The way you have to sort of have your balance on your feet, when you go that way, sort of a lot of your weight has to come from your weaker foot more than it does going the other way, and it's harder to get across. It's a weird little quirk that we don't really tend to talk about, but because your body finds it slightly more awkward going one way than the other, you don't cover that side of the goal as well as you do your stronger side. I wonder if people know this about him. Like, is that something scouts know, or have I just, like, massively grassed him up? I hope not. And just, like, as a cheeky aside, I know we've said, like, oh, this video's in partnership with FotMob, but that widget, I'm gonna win so many arguments with that in pubs now that I know that's there. I like that. The kicking is weirdly similar as well. Like the pass accuracy is pretty much the same. The long ball accuracy is not as good, but still absolutely fine. He just does them a lot less than Ederson. And obviously when you start going on something like FBref and looking at the really advanced numbers here, you can see that, yeah, Ederson's a much better distributor of the ball across multiple distances than Donnarumma is. And the fact he's leaving the club with 7 assists tells you everything you need to know. But when you do look at these numbers, the big explainer for the difference in styles, and I think the reason why Pep finds this such an appealing transfer, is this number here. Like, don't let the red and green confuse you. There isn't really a good or a bad end of this spectrum, right? You look at these here, you can see that Ederson was still the Premier League's #1. Don't you worry about that, lads. I'll come and deal with it goalkeeper. And Pep Guardiola has simply decided he no longer wants that. Donnarumma does less than half the sweeping up of the man he is replacing. In fact, and a little bit of a history lesson for you, right? In 2022, Donnarumma tried to play out, got mugged by Karim Benzema, and Madrid sensationally came back from 2 goals down to knock them out of the Champions League. He got almost all the blame for that. Then against Monaco the next season, he kicked the ball straight at Minamino and again found himself getting labelled as just not good enough for PSG. They need a modern goalkeeper, not this lump. And mistakes like this have dogged him his entire career. Like this one at Milan is genuinely quite painful to watch. So he's adapted his game ever since then to simply not get involved. He's the Gemma Collins of goalkeeping.
I'm not getting involved. I'm here to enjoy myself, GC style, do you know what I mean?
He does not show for the ball to take the pressure off the defenders. If someone gets in behind, he doesn't come scrambling out to try and close down the space. Instead, if a player does get an opportunity like that, and this is a positive in my head, by the way, not a negative, he gets right back in his goal and basically says, okay, well, let's see if you can finish then. And as a result, you can see it in the numbers. He's like entirely cut mistakes out of his game. PSG virtually never get done trying to involve him in the play at the back. Like if you've seen their now fabled kickoff routine where they just knock it into touch in the final third and then pen the opposition in, this is sort of the mindset he's allowing them to have. Like there's no point taking a load of risks here when you can just knock it up the other end, pen them in, and if they do get in behind, you've got great recovery pace with your fullbacks to try and remedy the situation, and if they do get through one-on-one, the goalie's not going to make it easy for them. He's going to demand that they actually finish well. Like this is the Club World Cup final. He sweeps out fully 40 yards from goal to get the ball, and then he just keeps it in play and fucks off. Like he gives it to the defender, they go forward and 2 passes later, they're in a dangerous area. They're not messing about trying to invite the opposition on. And actually, speaking of this game, go and watch the goals back. And what do you notice? Palmer's first goal and Palmer's second goal, there is weak pushing off with his left foot, so it ends up in that bottom right corner. And this rasper from Delap, he pushes off with his strong foot and makes a really, really good save. Player gets in behind and he just drops into his 6-yard box, doesn't commit, doesn't make it easy, just tells him, you've got to beat my frame now, how good's the finish? And that's another really good save. But you can see all of this as clear as buttons if you look at their heat maps from last season. Like Edison, he wants to be involved. He is dealing with stuff. He is rushing out. He's sweeping up. He is wiping the arses of his back four. He desperately wants to be playing the game. And then Donnarumma, none of his business, nothing to do with him. He will jog out to stop a throw or just to save somebody else a bit of time or energy. But when it comes to actually playing with it, not doing it. When he gets involved, he does so in his own box. So then, like, what does all of this tell us? Well, it tells us that Pep Guardiola, the man who killed centre forwards as a genre, just to then completely reinvent them by buying Erling Haaland, likes to make changes every now and then. He wants City to be way less methodical with the ball. He clearly wants to see them having it less in this area of the pitch and instead just being as direct as possible. Now we are talking about the same manager who's gone and bought Rayan Out-Nouri this summer to play at left back and is sticking like really athletic, dynamic running central midfielders on the opposite side. So it's clear he's trying to solve that problem of them getting done in behind when he loses the ball. Now he's just added a goalkeeper who isn't going to fuck around with it and try and be a hero. And yes, it is insane that he seemingly decided to do that right after they hauled James Trafford back from Burnley. But you know what honestly would not surprise me? Seeing them get rotated quite a lot, like using Trafford in games where you do want a lot of the ball, where you do want to invite the opposition on, and then Donnarumma when you're just trying to have a bit of fun. I mean, given the conventional logic behind goalkeepers is that you must have a settled and permanent number one to give consistency to the back four. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Guardiola's thinking, nah, I ain't going to do that actually. I'm going to rotate them based on the opposition. Be fun. Anyway, though, that is it. That is the end of the Donnarumma video. I still don't think it makes a whole lot of sense, but I am excited to see it in action because he's a very different goalkeeper to anyone currently in the Premier League, and that should always, and they said, be celebrated, be enjoyed. And of course, thanks again to our close in real life personal friends at FOTMob who have partnered with us on this video, and without whom we would not have had that incredibly cool and fun and surprisingly intuitive goals widget, which I really enjoyed using. But it's not just that. They've got like all the good stats, haven't they? They've got all the lineups and the fixtures and the match data and just everything you want from a football app on your phone, which this literally is on mine. So the link is in the description. We genuinely really like them. We're stoked that we're actually working with them on this. So if you haven't got the app yet, this is a solid, genuine endorsement from me. I really like it. Go and get it. Until next time though, I've already talked too much at the end. My social media, subscribe to the channel. I love you all, God, so much. It actually makes me cry sometimes when I just Think about it. That's Gigi Donnarumma. Goodbye. Arrivederci. Is that? Ciao. One of them. Italian.